Hello and welcome to the Maryland Apex Accelerator webinar. Glad you could join us today. I'm your host, Yasmin Razak, and I'm the Marketing and Training Coordinator. Today, the webinar topic is doing business with the Department of Veteran Affairs, and it is led by Wendy Bray, who is a program specialist in the OSDBU office of the Department of Veteran Affairs. So we're very pleased you could join us today. We'll get started very shortly, and there will be opportunities for you to ask Wendy your questions, and you can do that by typing them in the chat box on your screen, and we will hopefully have time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. As always, a copy of the slides will be emailed to you after the presentation, and I do have to let you know that this webinar is being recorded and will be available on the Apex Accelerator YouTube channel later on today. For those of you who are not familiar with the Maryland Apex Accelerator, it's our mission to help Maryland businesses compete in federal, state, and local government procurement processes. Our services are no cost to you. All you have to do is complete our client application form, and a counselor will be assigned to you within 30 business days. All right, well, enough from me. Over to you, Wendy.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here today, Yasmin. Today, I'm going to talk to everyone about doing business with the Department of Veteran Affairs. As Jasmine stated, I'm a program specialist here in our VA Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. That's a lot of words. So usually we just say either OSDBU or the Small Business Office. And we are your advocates when you're doing business with VA. We also assist in other areas. For example, I work over in the strategic outreach and communication side. So we host a variety of trainings for small businesses, whether you're just starting out doing business and you're looking to do business with VA, or you're what our executive leadership likes to call seasoned veteran. A seasoned business. We do business with veteran-owned businesses, but also we do business with non-veteran-owned businesses. So there's a saying that VA is vet first, but VA is not vet only. So if there are any businesses that are on the call today that are not veteran-owned businesses, please know that there may be opportunities for you to be able to do business with VA. So I'll go ahead and get started. For the next slide, this is what I'll be discussing today. I'll provide an overview of VA, VA's business lines. I'll discuss what we buy, where we buy, and how we buy, our small business goals, especially as we're entering into fiscal year 25, and then OSDBU's initiatives that are, we are working on them now, but they are going into fiscal year 25 as well. This is information, and everyone will receive the slide. So this is information about our mission, VA's mission, and our OSDBU mission statement. Now I'll get into what everyone is here for, VA organization and the business lines. And I've separated everything into sections. This is VA main business lines, excuse me. So you'll see on this slide, the department, the secretary's office, and then you'll see Veterans Business and Benefits Administration, Veterans Health Administration, and the National Cemetery Administration. And then we have our staff offices, which all of these offices actually solicit for services. So our Benefits Administration, they focus on the benefits. Healthcare is the VHA, Veterans Health Administration, and then Cemetery, National Cemetery Administration. For VBA, the Veterans Business Administration, it acts as the central hub for initial registration, evaluating eligibility, and efficiently administering 5 key non-medical benefit programs offered by the VA. These comprehensive programs provide substantial financial assistance, educational opportunities, and essential support services, significantly improving the lives of our nation's veterans and their loved ones. And for VHA, just to highlight a few, it provides compensation. It provides compensation for tax-free financial assistance to veterans with disabilities that are connected to military service, and then pension offers supplemental income for wartime veterans and their families facing hardship. So you'll see on this slide for the Veterans Benefits Administration, Those services, if you are familiar with them, you'll see compensation, loan guarantee, insurance, Office of Administrative Review. As I'm going through these main business lines, and I'll be discussing the staff offices in a few minutes, some of the things that I want you as a participant to think about is where would your business service or product fit in with being able to assist VA with meeting its goal. So the Veterans Health Care Administration, it's home of the United States' largest integrated healthcare system, providing comprehensive care to 9 million veterans annually. It comprises of over 172 medical centers and providing care at a little over 1,000 outpatient sites of care. So the VHA medical centers, they provide many services, including traditional hospital-based services and additional medical and surgical specialty services. In some of our medical centers, they do offer advanced services such as organ transplants and plastic surgery. And VHA is also responsible for biomedical research. For our National Cemetery Administration, they honor veterans and their families by providing final resting places in national cemeteries, shrines, and tributes commemorating their service and sacrifice to our nation. It operates over 155 national cemeteries and 34 soldier lots and monument sites in 42 states and Puerto Rico. More than 4 million Americans, including veterans of every war and conflict, are buried in VA's national cemetery. VA also provides funding to establish, expand, improve, and maintain 122 veteran cemeteries in 49 states and territories, including tribal trust lands, Guam, and Saipan. I think I said that incorrectly, but Saipan. And for veterans not buried in a VA national cemetery, the VA provides headstones, markers, or medallions to commemorate their service. Now, these are the VA staff offices, and I'll go through just a few of them, but in our staff offices, and this will be on the next slide, you see we have, for example, the Office of Management. They provide and they manage and provide those strategic and operational leadership and budget, access enterprise management, financial management, business transformation, OIT, and I'll discuss our contracting offices in the next few slides. So if your business service is to provide IT, or you have a specific product for technology that VA could use to help us to meet our mission, you will be speaking, for example, with the Office of Information Technology, or you will be working with them. They'd be soliciting for your services. Our Office of Enterprise Integration, Human Resources and Administration. We have a few businesses that offer, I believe it's NAICS code 641111, if I'm not mistaken. But for example, program management, leadership development, if you're on the training side, that would be an office that would probably be soliciting for your services. Then our Office of Public and Intergovernmental Affairs. Can you hear me, Yasmin?
You broke up slightly there, Wendy. We can hear you now.
Okay. Let's see here. I apologize, everyone. Give me a few minutes. That's what happens when you work in the office. My computer cut out, so I think it's coming back up now.
Yeah, we can hear you and we can see your presentation.
Okay, perfect. I'm just waiting for my screen to come back up so I can see where I left off, everyone. That's so weird.
That's okay. While we're waiting for that, I'd like to welcome everybody who's joined us since we started. And just to let you know that if you are looking for procurement counseling, you can sign up with us to receive counseling. It's no cost to you. All we ask is that you have a Maryland business and that you have some business experience. And I do want to let you know that this is being recorded, so you will receive the slides and the recording after the presentation. If you have any questions for Wendy, feel free to type them in the chat box.
Thank you. Can you see the slide?
Yes, we can. Thanks.
Okay, so I left off on discussing the Office of Public and Intergovernmental Affairs. So media relations, public affairs, if you have experience or you're providing service, for example, in communication, that may be an office that is soliciting for your services. And all of this information that I'm speaking about can be found online, and I'll discuss that in a few too. Like, for example, market research and where to identify the buyers and how to do business with us. So another example is our Veteran Experience Office. I'm not going to go through all of these because the slides will be provided to you. But our Veteran Experience Office, they do support our VA customer experience, insight, engine, and share services to partner with. So that office, excuse me, focuses on the veterans experience. There may be surveys involved, other pieces from within that office where they will solicit for contractors or vendors to be able to come in and assist them with being able to meet their goal. And like I mentioned before, every single staff office that is on this slide, if you actually go on sam.gov, you'll see that they have solicited for services throughout, I want to say, the past 3 or 4 years. Services have been solicited for within these staff offices. Oops. Did it move to the next slide? Yasmin?
We're now on the slide that says other VA programs.
Okay, thank you. I apologize, everyone. My screen flipped, so it's like on the opposite side, so I just wanted to make sure. So on this slide, here's a list of other programs that do solicit for services and products. The Veterans Canteen Service, it operates in many retail stores. If you're familiar with VHA or if you've ever came down to the VACO office. The Veterans Canteen Service, they have online shopping, cafes, coffee shops, vending machines, catering services, food trucks, retail, optical services, and barber and beauty shops, all throughout the United States. And so it is headquartered in St. Louis, Missouri, and it's charged with providing reasonably priced merchandise and services for the comfort and well-being of veterans that are enrolled in our VA's healthcare system, their families, caregivers, employees, volunteers, and visitors. So the canteen service, like I mentioned before, they're located in VA medical centers, the CBOC, which are, for anybody that's not familiar, community-based outpatient clinics. Let me just say CBOC for short. Or other outpatient clinics and healthcare centers. So for example, from what I just mentioned, if you are selling, even though I'm just making this up off the top of my head, sodas or snacks or clothing items, or all of these different items are sold within the canteen office. So that may be an opportunity for any businesses that are on a call today that may be in the food industry. The canteen office, the VCS also, they have a cafeteria at the medical centers, at the VACO office, which is our central office. So there may be opportunity for your food items to be sold there. So for, again, anybody that's in the food industry that is on the call today, that may be an opportunity. So that's something to look at. The majority of the enhanced use lease projects, they provide safe and affordable housing for veterans and families. And these properties are leased to lessees, entities that finance, design, develop, construct, or rehabilitate, and then operate and maintain the property. So the lessee assumes all financial obligations and risks associated with the development, and these lessees utilize various sources of financing, including but not limited to low-income housing, tax credits, state and local government funding, grants, commercial loans, and public issue bonds. So for those individuals that are provide service in leasing, real estate, there may be an opportunity for you within this office, enhanced use lease. Now, the consolidated mail outpatient pharmacy, the facilities, they are located in Kansas, Arizona, Massachusetts, Texas, Tennessee, Illinois, and South Carolina. And in fiscal year 2020, approximately 84% of outpatient prescriptions were dispensed by VHA. So if there are any businesses that are on the call that provide a service in transportation, for example, with the medication being processed and sent out, there may be a need for transport. Those opportunities exist. I've seen, because I've done a little bit of research, where the CMOP office, which is a consolidated mail outpatient pharmacy office, do actively solicit for those services. So that means it's current opportunities that are out there for any businesses that provide services there in that industry, excuse me. What does VA buy? So this is a list of items of what VA buys. It's not a complete list, so I don't want anybody to walk away and say, oh, I don't see, the type of services I provide here. So VA doesn't do business, will not do business with me. That is not the case. Going back to our main business lines, like I mentioned, healthcare, benefits, and cemetery. So hospitals, clinics, our VISNs, Veteran Integrated Service Network, you'll hear us use that word interchangeably with NCO, which is our network contracting office. And so we actually have a map, and I think I have that on the slide as well, where you'll be able to see the different regions where VA is doing business, data processing centers, and again, national cemeteries. The information is on this slide, our top product lines, our services. You'll see construction, professional services, as I mentioned, with our human resource office, where there are solicitations that come from out of that office, human capital, security and protection, definitely information technology. We have a lot of services that are solicited for information technology. We have, and I was about to jump ahead, but I'm going to wait for a second because I'm going to talk about our technology acquisition center in a few. So this is what I was saying. I was about to jump ahead. This is our contracting offices. And so within our contracting offices, these offices are located in the Office of Procurement, Acquisition, and Logistics, so OPAL. And majority of the time, they assist the main business lines and the staff offices in procuring services and products. So you remember in the beginning when I spoke about the 3 main business lines and then the other staff offices, what you'll see if you go on SAM.gov and look for those opportunities, you'll see those opportunities and you'll see that it's posted from the SAC or Strategic Acquisition Center. It's posted from the TAC or it's posted from the NAC. Now, it's important for you to know which office, which one of our contracting offices you should be reaching out to, specifically to the services that you provide or the products that you provide. So just starting off with the Technology Acquisition Center, they provide, or you'll see a lot of contracting or solicitations, excuse me, coming from this office for IT related services. Our National Acquisition Center, they are responsible for supporting the healthcare requirements of the VA and other government offices. And then our Strategic Acquisition Center, they have 2 locations. They're located in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and they're located in Frederick, Maryland. And the SAC, they are strategically organized to meet veterans' healthcare needs and support VA medical centers nationwide. So that means that if you're seeing a solicitation that is coming from the Strategic Acquisition Center, that service may be coming from one of the offices, if not underneath VHA, one of the other staff offices that is, providing service on the healthcare side. So the offices, their primary roles, specifically with the Strategic Acquisition Center, the office in Fredericksburg, their primary support is for VHA procurement needs through the award of strategic sourcing contract vehicles. And all this information can be found on our VA website. And then the Frederick office, they support our nation's veterans by providing life cycle innovative acquisition solutions and business advice to the customers, primarily for professional services. Now, I want to go back a second before I go to the next slide specifically about National Acquisition Center. So they are responsible for supporting the healthcare requirements of the VA and other government agencies. But I want to mention that under GSA, the multiple award schedule, and the National Contract Program, the NAC awards a high volume multiple award schedule, national contracts, and those blanket purchase agreements for the acquisition and direct delivery of pharmaceuticals, medical, surgical, dental, and patient mobility equipment supplies, high technology medical equipment, temporary allied healthcare staffing services, and just-in-time distribution programs. So for anybody that's on the call today that provides services within those areas that I just mentioned, I just wanted to make sure that you know that you would reach out to the National Acquisition Center. We have the federal supply schedule. If you're interested in knowing more about the federal supply schedule, we do have a training on our website, and we do have an updated training coming soon. It will be about, I want to say, 4 presentations or 4 different webinars, so that we can make sure that we're getting all the information out to you. Okay, there we go. So the VA turns groundbreaking research into real-world solutions through the Technology Transfer Program. The TTP, it works alongside VA researchers to safeguard promising inventions with intellectual property protection. They then bridge the gap between research and industry by facilitating licensing agreements and collaboration. And this program ensures that valuable discoveries become products and services that directly benefit veterans, the public, and the U.S. economy. And in addition to contracting, the VA also offers grant opportunities. So I do recommend for anybody that's interested in any grant opportunities, please visit grants.gov so that you can explore more of those opportunities. And they also have the point of contact for the grant programs on grants.gov. So I'm going to stop for a second. I know I've been dealing with some technology issues. If anybody have any questions, Yasmin, I'm not able to see the chat to see if we had any questions that came through before I continue on.
Hi, Wendy. Thanks. Yes, we have a couple of questions basically about what does a VA buy. One is, I would like to offer counseling services, particularly behavior therapy to the VA. Is that a possibility?
So I would say you would go on SAM to look to see if VA is soliciting for those services. So it could be, I can't say that it is, because I haven't looked to see on the medical side all of the different types of services that they solicit for, but it could be. Like, for example, there are opportunities for social work, and I apologize, it escapes me right now. It's another one that I can't think of at the tip of my tongue. But like, for example, on the previous slide, when I mentioned allied services, so staffing, providing staffing, doctors, nurses, those are solicited as well. So you will find, if it's solicited, go on sam.gov. If it's not, there is an opportunity where you could be able to brief to the VA buyers, where there may be an opportunity that's there for them to say, okay, well, yeah, we would like to solicit for those services.
Okay, great. And that would also apply to other areas such as conflict management trainings and seminars?
Yes. So I have seen that VA has solicited for those. Sometimes those are micro purchases. What I do see businesses, for example, with conflict management, they will reach out, and they'll reach out to offer that service, and it's purchased, since it's a micro purchase, it's purchased with the government purchase card. So there is opportunities in 2 ways, either on SAM, where there may be an opportunity, or individual offices, like I mentioned. Those staff offices have offices within those offices, and so forth and so on. So they have solicited in the past for those type of services. It's just making sure to get it's making sure that your business is visible. So I will, because I'm trying to navigate this. I apologize, Yasmin. I will get you the vendor portal information to register as a vendor for VA. I'll get that to everyone.
Okay, that's all the questions for now. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And Yasmin, if you can remind me so I can make sure I can get that for everyone. The vendor portal link, because I don't think I have it in my presentation.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so what VA is buying, here's what VA buys, and this is just a percentage for fiscal year 24, no, fiscal year 21, excuse me, to present. So 503, a little over 503 billion, and this information was pulled from usaspending.gov. VBA, which is the Veterans Benefit Administration, this is how much they spent since fiscal year 21. Veterans Health Administration, a little over 209 billion, and a little over 193 billion, with where it says Department of Veteran Affairs, which are the staff offices. So those are all those offices that you saw included on the previous slide, and a little over 154 million with the National Cemetery Office. Here's the top 10 industry NAICS codes from fiscal year 23. You see at the top is direct health and medical insurance carriers. And so even for the second one, pharmaceutical preparation manufacturing, what you see is, what you see is it's in the healthcare side. Then on the computer system design services, IT side, all the way down to the bottom. These are the top 10. There are over, I want to say 100 NAICS codes of VA spending. So nursing care facilities. This information was also pulled from USA Spending. This helps you to identify, okay, what areas can I do business with VA? And what this represents is 79.95% of VA's total spend. This other slide is representing 78% of VA's total spend. So again, you'll see this is fiscal year 24. I pulled this data, I want to say in June. So this is most recent of June of this year for fiscal year 24. So just the first 2 months, the first 2 quarters of fiscal year 24, it's still direct health and medical insurance carriers, office of physicians, pharmaceutical, computer system design. So on the healthcare side and on the information technology side. Also construction, where you see commercial and institutional building construction. Now I'm going to talk to you about where does VA buy. And I did mention before about our NCOs or VISMs, and I said that you would see it being used interchangeably. So each NCO, it provides a local, regional, and national procurement support for providing the best possible care and support to our veterans. So you'll see here in the US, our VISN, our NCOs, and then of course Alaska is in 20, and then the Philippines, Guam, over out in VISN 21. And each one of these areas has a small business liaison. So my office, we're located in Washington, D.C., but we provide services and we advocate for businesses all over, all within these regions. Okay, and then on this slide, you see the percentage of the places of performance. How much money is being spent? So the darker color is more than 92 billion. So you'll see with the darker color, Texas, Virginia, and this information was pulled from USA Spending. So for example, when you're looking at this, because this presentation is great information to have for market research when determining whether you should do business or whether you should pursue doing business with VA, if you aren't already. If you are located in Nebraska, for example, and you can provide services not just in Nebraska, but all the way in Virginia, you see that in Nebraska, it's approximate about, between 18 to 37 billion that is being spent. VA is spending within this region. Whereas over in Virginia, it's more than 92 billion. So this helps you to be able to identify, okay, where are those other opportunities, or where can I, position my business to not just be in my local area, but maybe I might be able to provide service, because I know you're in Maryland right now, but I might be able to provide service in another region. Now I'll discuss how do VA buy. These are GWAC and IDIQs that VA used in fiscal year 23. I didn't pull the data for you guys for fiscal year 24 because it's not yet finished, but I will have some updated information. And you can find this information on our website, but I'll make sure to update the information for everyone, all the small businesses, maybe like around October or November, when we can have that information for fiscal year 24. But the GWACs, you'll see, for example, T4NG. That's IT for anybody that is providing IT services. And you see that VA has spent in the millions over $2 million in providing this service. I'm sorry, in soliciting for this service. NASA SOUP. Even though NASA SOUP is managed by NASA, you see that VA uses NASA SOUP. So if you're on NASA SOUP or you're familiar with it, then that gives you an idea of, okay, I'll go ahead and, let me check and see, where my business will fit in there. I'm not going to go through the entire list of the GWACs and the IDIQs that VA uses. I'm not going to go in and then, explain each one, but this list can help you to identify, okay, if VA is using this contracting vehicle, then I need to be on this contracting vehicle in order to get services. In order to, effectively compete for those services. So I don't want anyone to leave away. I always try to remember to say this. Don't walk away thinking I need to get on these contracting vehicles, because you don't. This is just saying, you'll have to make that determination. But this is just some information for you to use to identify, okay, if I want to be able to do business with VA and they are using these contracting vehicles for this service, then let me see if this is the direction that my business needs to go. And I'll say, for example, with Vector, VA spent a little over 75 million. But Vector is not, and let me add in there for program management. Vector, it has 6 other services, but one of them is program management. So even though VA spent over 75, million, they still, other offices within VA still solicited for services for program management that were not on the Vector contracting vehicle. So I just want to use that example so that you know that this is just for informational purposes. You can look to see, hey, where is VA, what contracting vehicles are VA using, because we used to get a lot of those questions. So that's why we include that information now. But don't just focus on those contracting, the contracting vehicles that you see. For fiscal year 24, and I'll be able to see it at the same time that you guys do. We'll see, if there were other services added or other services that were removed, contracting vehicles that were removed. So VA small business goals. This information is on the SBA website, but these were our small business goals for fiscal year 24. And the reason I included it on this presentation, because I wanted everyone to see where VA stood in meeting its goal for fiscal year 23, and then I'll show you fiscal year 24 in a second. But for example, our goal was 27% fiscal year 23, but we achieved 33.27% for small businesses. The prime contracting. This is specifically for prime contracting. We also exceeded our goal for disadvantaged businesses. And we also exceeded our goal for service-disabled veteran-owned small business. And you see for OSDBU, our goal was 30%, but we were at 27.16%. For fiscal year 23 subcontracting goals, you'll see that we weren't, and I'll discuss this towards the end on ways that VA is working towards meeting our subcontracting goals, but we did not meet any of our subcontracting goals for fiscal year 23. Our achievements, as you can see, are just a few percentages shorter than meeting our goal. This is our fiscal year 24 small business goal. I know we're getting ready to end in fiscal year 24, and we'll try to get the information out to everyone as quick as we can for what our 25 fiscal year 25 small business goals are. But for all small businesses, prime contracting goal for fiscal year 24 is 27%. And for subcontracting goals, it's 17.5%. Now I'll spend the latter half of this session discussing VA resources and references. So one of the things, if you are not familiar with it, Pathfinder, I want to bring Pathfinder, make the businesses aware of Pathfinder. So Pathfinder was implemented, I want to say it went live in 2022. It is I would call it a visibility tool. So if you are not visible to the VA buyer, how are they going to know, that your business is capable of being able to provide the service or that product that they're looking for? So with Pathfinder, you can either innovate with VA, or overall, you can either innovate with VA or you can sell to VA. And we just hosted a session, I want to say yesterday or 2 days ago, for how to use Pathfinder, as far as for innovators. What the process looks like. What you add is you'll just go in and you'll click on, from this slide, you'll see where it says collaborate with VA for innovators, and then you'll see industry says submit to market research database. Click on those buttons. If you're selling the VA, click industry. It's going to ask you a few questions about your business. I do recommend that you still, at the bottom, when you scroll down, you'll see where it says, you can attach a document. Still attach your business capability statement. It's basically going to collect your business information, and then it's going to add it to VA's market research database. That's going to be helpful because for VA's market research database, those buyers, when they're doing their market research, they're going to be looking at this database, looking for vendors that are able to provide that service or product that they're looking for. Specifically for technology, our technology acquisition center, we have an office called IT Vendor Management Office, ITVMO. When businesses that provide IT services submit their capabilities to Pathfinder, ITVMO reaches out to them so that the business can provide a briefing to the VA buyer. This is helpful because in these briefings, it'll help you, the business who's selling this service or selling this product, to be able to communicate to VA the type of services that you provide, service or product. And then also you'll be able to hear from VA about what exactly they're looking for or what exactly they're already using. So that'll help you to be able to identify where you need to position yourself. Whether you need to add some things on or maybe remove some things, that helps to hear from the buyer, what VA is already doing. Responding to RFIs and source of salt. It's great to respond to RFIs and source of salt if you're able to. This helps in the market research, phase. When the acquisition team are looking to, a project has already been identified. And so now the acquisition team is looking to identify, are there any businesses that are out there capable of being able to provide that service? Responding to those RFIs and source of salt, it helps them. As it states on this slide, it helps with increasing your visibility to the buyer. Because then, I just mentioned with Pathfinder, but there are various different tools that the acquisition team uses when they're doing market research to be able to identify buyers. So, to be able to identify sellers. So that helps with your visibility, but then it demonstrates your interest. So the buyer knows that there is a business that is out there, that is capable, especially when you include your information, that is capable of being able to provide that service. For third, it talks about set-asides and the scope and other aspects, but during that acquisition phase, the acquisition team is making the determination on whether or not this should be set aside. This project should be set aside. Should it be set aside for a large business? Should it be set aside for a small business? Should it be set aside for a veteran-owned business? Should it be set aside for a woman-owned business? So you and your competitors or your partners, potential partners, responding to those, it helps them to be able to identify that. When you're doing business with VA, we have 5 tiers. Because of the Vets First Contracting Program, we have to set aside, by law, we have to set aside contracts to service disabled veteran-owned small businesses first, if they meet the criteria that's set for the Rule of 2. Then the second tier is veteran-owned business. The third tier is AA and HUB zone. And then the fourth tier is women-owned small business and other small businesses. And then the fifth is full and open competition. So if the buyer or the acquisition team, they don't know that your business exists and you're a service disabled veteran-owned business, or you're a woman-owned business. I'll use woman-owned business as an example. You're a woman-owned business. Now, it may, be full and open competition, because then it's not just you. Again, it's 2 or more for that criteria, as well as the other criteria. But one of the criteria, is has to be 2 or more businesses. Responding to RFIs and sources sought. Create an opportunity to connect with the CO. Seek clarification. I know that there may be times where it's very difficult to reach out and speak to the contracting officer. They may have a few contracts that they're working on at one time. So to get to know a little bit about this project that may be coming up, because it's probably already posted on or it's already forecasted on the forecast of contracting opportunities, but responding to the RFIs and sources sought, you can be able to, reach out to the CO and, maybe ask a few additional questions if you're confused about it, so that you can kind of identify where you can, or what information you can include that will help you effectively compete against your competitors. It provides insight into the requirements when you're responding. So okay, this opportunity is getting ready to come up. I know that they're looking for these, criteria or these requirements. I know that they're looking for me to have X number of products or X number of employees or personnel, that kind of thing. That information is helpful when you're responding to that. And then also, lastly, exercise of responding identifies internal gaps. When you're responding or when you're looking at it, you may say to yourself, that doesn't sound right. It should be actually this way. Or, they shouldn't be using this service. This product was used back in 2020. They have a better product out there now. They should be using this. When you're responding back, that helps them to be able to identify those internal gaps, that are there. This is just an introduction to the procurement decision makers. Well, as an acquisition team, we use various different words to say the same thing. You on a procurement decision maker team or the procurement decision maker or the acquisition team, you're going to have an acquisition manager, a small business liaison, which I mentioned before, and I'll provide that information to you, the supplier diversity manager, contracting officer, and also program management. So networking with procurement decision makers, it is a strategic investment. It allows you to build trust, gain valuable information, and position your company for success in competitive government contracting. Those procurement decision makers, they often involve more than just price. Procurement decisions often involve more than just price. And those decision makers may choose a vendor that they trust that has exhibited good past performance. So networking, it allows you to build that rapport, showcase your company culture, and demonstrate your commitment to the excellent service. And through conversations with procurement officials, you can gain valuable insight into upcoming projects, specific needs of the agency, and those potential challenges. So this information allows you to tailor your proposals effectively, target the right opportunities, and highlight how your products or services directly address their needs and contribute to their goals. And networking can help you to identify potential shortcomings in your qualifications before submitting a formal bid. So this early feedback, it does allow you to be able to address those issues and ensure a smoother proposal process. So by getting your name out there and establishing yourself as a knowledgeable and a reliable vendor, you'll increase your chances of being able to be considered for future projects, even if you are not initially selected, like, for example, for a specific bid. So going back to why this slide is here, I used to hear from a lot of small businesses, who's the contracting officer? Why can't I get, in touch with the contracting officer? I need to speak to the contracting officer. Here's an introduction to the procurement decision maker team. When you are attending those business opportunity sessions, informational sessions, we actually host those in our GAP program. Program managers are there. Small business liaisons are there. It's not just the contracting officers that are within that acquisition team. So being able to know who they are, who to speak with, knowing what's going on, your program managers, they're going to be the individuals that actually require the service. So we take everything that I've said so far. Let's go back to the main business lines and the staff offices. The main business lines and the staff offices are going to have your program managers. Because although if you go on SAM and you look and you see, like I mentioned about the contracting offices, the TAC, the NAC, the SAC, those are going to have your contracting officers. And the NAC, the SAC, the TAC, with your contracting officers, they're going to be managing those contracts. But that program manager or that program specialist, they're the ones that saying, you know what? We need a contractor to come in here and help us, build up our website. We need a contractor to come in here and help us to, learn how to resolve conflicts. We need a contractor to come in here and help us improve our, processes. Or we need a contractor to come in here to help us to staff, our medical centers with physicians or nurses. Knowing who to speak with, knowing who is requesting for those services is very beneficial in helping your business out. With being able to identify who do you need to speak to know what exactly is going on and where there is a need within VA. So on this slide, when you receive it, I know it's the same slide as the one before, but you'll see at the top it says SBL. When you get to this slide, you can actually just select SBL and it will take you to the small business liaison, the list for the small business liaison. And for example, if everyone is, I believe they are in Maryland, then over here in Maryland, this is Vision 5. So you would click here and you reach out to Vision 5, small business liaison. But for example, say you provide IT service. I just mentioned before, Technology Acquisition Center manages VA's IT. So you know that although you have your small business liaison for Vision 5 or NCO 5, you also have a small business liaison for the Technology Acquisition Center. So you want to know a little bit more broadly about the IT contracts that are out there all over the United States and its territories, and where you could be able to, or where your business would fit in to be able to do business with VA, you reach out to that small business liaison as well. I use Technology Acquisition Center as an example, but we have our other offices as well. If there are any businesses that are on the call today that provide services in construction and facilities management, we have small business liaison that can be able to assist you with that. So all you have to do is just go to the website and then scroll down and look for small business liaison within that specific office or within that specific business. So now we've reached the end of our presentation, of my presentation. These are OSDBU initiatives. And I just wanted to cover a little bit of the OSDBU initiatives. I don't know if anyone saw or with our prime goals, woman-owned small business, that we didn't meet our goal for fiscal year 23. And I'm not sure, I think we're close to meeting our goal for fiscal year 24. But for women-owned small businesses, right now it's pending in legislation to make women-owned small businesses on par with HubZone and AA. What does that mean? Remember earlier when I mentioned about the tiers, first tier SDBUSB, second tier BOSB, women-owned small businesses, they are on the fourth tier. So what happens is when doing business with VA, if because of the Vets First contracting program, 2 or more businesses meet all of those criteria that's set forth in the rule of 2, then a contract can be set aside for SDBUSB. So that means that for a woman-owned small business, that they're not even able to compete. They wouldn't even be able to compete for that opportunity because now it's set aside for SDBUSB. Same thing for VOSB, second tier. On the third tier, it's AA and HubZone. And so since women-owned small businesses are on the fourth tier, that means that throughout that process, whether there is a SDBUSB, a VOSB, or AA or HubZone, if the acquisition team has identified that there are businesses that meet that criteria and are able, especially capable of being able to perform on the contract, that project would be set aside for those socioeconomic classifications before it gets to a woman-owned small business. So the VA Opportunity for Women-Owned Small Businesses Act of 2023 is a bill. And basically this bill, it will update VA's Veterans First contracting program to recognize the Women-Owned Small Business Program in VA's procurement hierarchy of small business preferences. And as the term Veterans First suggests, like I mentioned, the current law directs VA's contracting officers to apply those small business preferences, I'm sorry, give me one second. Sorry about that. The current law, it directs VA's contracting officers to apply small business preferences in a specific sequence, like I just mentioned before. So this bill, it would not create a new authority, but instead it would change the point at which contracting officers could consider a woman-owned small business program under the VA's procurement hierarchy. So revamp forecasted contracting opportunities page. That information is also included in this presentation. Some of the things that our leadership here at VA heard from the small businesses is, I'm not getting this information quick enough. It's the solicitation is posted on Monday and it's saying it's due by Wednesday or Thursday. Also, I didn't even see this, forecasted. But all of a sudden, here it is on, the solicitation is on SAM. So for the ease of the navigation and advanced notice of requirements, we have revamped our forecasted contracting opportunities page. The previous link that we have, we will be going away from using that forecasting tool, and our forecasting, which some majority of it is on acquisition gateway, but we will be 100%. I'm not sure of the time frame right now, but 100% of our forecasting will be on acquisition gateway. So for now, we are providing both. And one of the advice that I provide to businesses is if you're looking to use the vendor portal forecasted contracting opportunities, select entire FCO, and then don't filter for anything. If you're using that, to identify any forecasted opportunities or just for market research, don't select any filtering, just select search. And what it will do is it will generate a full search result for you of forecasted information, and then you can actually save it as an Excel spreadsheet. Now, an ongoing focus on equity. So Executive Order 13985 is the government-wide action plan. And the Biden-Harris administration focus on advancing equity across the federal government has led to a renewed commitment from VA to take that immediate step to embed equity in the delivery of benefits and those services to all veterans, and specifically to historically marginalized and underserved veterans. Excuse me. So since the signing of the Executive Order 13985, VA has taken immediate steps categorized across those 4 buckets. And the 4 buckets is number 1, embedded equity through policy and operational changes. Number 2, advanced equity through grant making and research and development. And number 3, use the veteran's voice as our North Star. And number 4, innovative and stakeholder engagement to underserved communities. So our procurement innovation lab, it's our acquisition workforce training on small business programs. So that means in order for us here, acquisition professionals at VA, to be able to do our job to help small businesses, we have to make sure that we know what we're doing. So that's basically what the procurement innovation lab is. Subcontracting plan oversight. If you recall from the previous slide where I showed our subcontracting plan and how we did not meet those goals for fiscal year 23. So one of the initiatives that OSDBU has is to hold primes accountable for promised work to small business subs. So we do have an office that is working on reviewing and having that oversight over the subcontracting plan. And then lastly, the outreach and business opportunities sessions. This right now, my engagement is one of those. So for VAs, primes, other federal and state agencies, we're making sure that we are engaging out in outreach events, whether it's virtually, like in the setting that we have now, or we're having to travel, to the next state over, or, local opportunities to be able to get that information out about, VA's opportunities and OSDBU and the resources that we provide to the small business community. So on this last slide, this is our contact information. We do have a help desk if you want to contact them to ask questions, or specifically in my office, Strategic Outreach and Communications, you can email us. We do review our mailbox daily. You can, what is the word? I'm very behind on the social media, but you can follow us. That's the word. You can follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, or subscribe. See, I know that one. Subscribe to YouTube, to our YouTube channel. Like I stated, we have a lot of our small business trainings on there, and eventually those business opportunity sessions and informational sessions that we have with our direct access program team will be included on the YouTube channel. So I've reached the end, or the conclusion of this presentation. Excuse me. Yasmin, are there any questions for me? I know we have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Wendy. That was great. You've answered most of them. Things like, where can we find the procurement forecast? How can we find our office in Maryland? I don't know if you've answered this one, though. Is T4NG still available for new companies that are not currently in T4NG?
I'm sorry, I think I stopped sharing.
Yeah, you did. Did you hear the question?
This computer is a mess. You said, so is T4NG currently, I'm sorry.
Is it still available for new companies?
No, so T4NG, there's T4NG2. I do recommend if you go to your browsing, whatever browser you use, just type in T4NG2. They don't have T4, they're not using, T4NG. I think it's off-ramp, and I'm not sure right now where T4NG2 is, but I'm pretty sure the information is located online, because the last time I saw it, it was a protest. But I think they're moving forward from that now.
Okay, thanks. And one last question. Do you have to be an established minority-owned business to do business with the VA?
You do have to be an established business. Minority-owned is not one of the social economic classifications. As I stated before, VA does do business with everybody. I'll say everybody in terms of the socioeconomic classifications for SDBUSB, BOSB, Hub Zone, AA, woman-owned, and all small businesses. And then, of course, they do business with large businesses, but specific to small businesses. But there isn't a requirement there or a goaling for minority-owned business.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's all the questions. So I'd like to thank Wendy for giving such a great presentation today, despite the technical difficulties, and also to thank you all for joining us today. Hope you got a lot out of this. and we look forward to seeing you at a future presentation. So take care, everybody. Thanks again, Wendy. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good one, everyone.